Hey everyone, thanks for joining. Of course, back here with Kurt. Been a while since we've done a video. Lots of questions about revenues, so we're going to cover that today. But first things first, Kurt, how are you?
Doing very well, Jason. It's been a interesting summer in the markets and in the world, but we keep rocking on here. So good stuff for us.
We keep pushing. Well, to dive into it, pretty crazy revenue increase. I know a lot of people kind of drew their conclusions as for why. A lot of great questions around, how sustainable is $5 million a quarter, et cetera, et cetera. So figured,
Yeah,
do you want to kind of kick it off, walk through the press release, and then answer
sure,
some more general questions?
sure. Yeah, I mean, look, the year over year comparison, we didn't, make a huge deal out of that because it was going from a quarter that had been just when we were starting to get off the ground and hadn't really seen revenue. So a quarter that had, just a couple $100,000 plus in revenue compared to one in 5 million. So on a percentage basis, you're actually going to get a huge jump there. But I think what's most important is um, you're not going to see this company, knock on wood, you're not going to see this company go below $5 million plus quarters. I mean, we have much higher aspirations than that, frankly. The numbers we're looking at are ones that start with tens, not with fives. So that's where we want to go. But we're going to keep climbing up to that. And the question I've been asked by a lot of people, and that you kind of alluded to, is how sustainable is our $5 million quarters. Well, we're going to grow larger than $5 million quarters. I can assure you, we're not providing formal guidance. There's a lot of reasons behind that. The primary reason, honestly, is that some of the growth that's taking place is happening fast enough. There's some, acquisition stuff we're looking at and other things in the second half of the year that we haven't made decisions on that could have material impact on that. So that's what's really the primary area we're holding back on. But the bottom line is this. We did, over 13 million in revenue. These are all Canadian dollars in calendar 2021. As a lot of people know, we switched to calendar year and a fiscal year. This year, I can state without giving any sort of formal guidance, we're clearly going to have over 100% year-over-year revenue growth, and it'll, hopefully be appreciably more than that, and we expect that. And so you'll see very, very large percentage gaps on a quarter over quarter basis. Last quarter, and the quarter that we're currently in right now, the one that's the April, May, June timeframe, we did 2.6 million in revenue. Well, that was the first quarter where we had real revenue in the company, and people were very excited about that. Well, we're going to eclipse that massively as well. So without sort of, giving you guys hints, without sort of talking specifically about numbers, we expect major quarter over quarter revenue growth to continue. I think on sort of a back of the envelope basis, we're going to be talking in 3-digit growth, not 4-digit growth. I think 1,000-2,000% revenue growth is probably not realistic for anyone to really be thinking about on a sustained basis now that we've got a real business. But every business unit in the company will hit all-time revenue records in the quarter that we're in right now. That's not even over yet. So that I know. So that's the kind of growth trajectory that we're on. And as a result of that, and maybe the most important part of all of that is, I know I made a statement very recently that we had 50 advertisers. Well, now we have 70 advertisers. We had 30 or 40 influencers that we're representing through Chatterbox Represent. We now have 60 influencers we're representing. We had mainly movie studios that were funneling business through QUSA. Now we have movie studios, game studios, streaming studios, and automotive clients. So we are expanding very rapidly in every business unit. There's no reason to expect that that's not going to continue. And so it's very exciting for the growth trajectory that we see ourselves on.
Yeah. There was two general questions, that I saw come up a lot. I know we gotta dance through these probably a little bit, but a lot of questions around the influencer business in the U.S. with all the big movies that are now coming out. You're starting to see that space really come back, and then a lot of questions about how Chatterbox is doing.
Yeah, we've done on the U.S. side. Unfortunately, we're usually not allowed to put a press release out or announce a specific property that we've worked on. So if there's some recent movie that was the #1 movie that weekend, we can't necessarily name it. I can just tell you right now that I believe we're now up to 7 #1 movies this year that we've done influencer campaigns for. And every one of those, everybody who's listening here will have heard of, especially the one most recently. But it's got airplanes in it, stuff like that. But the bottom line is that our studio relationships and the kind of movies that we're doing, we tend to do what are known in the studio business as the tentpole motion pictures. Well, that's also now traveling over into the games business. We've made announcements and can talk about the fact that we did a huge campaign for Resident Evil. That's from a gaming company called Capcom. There's another major gaming company that I'll leave nameless for the moment with a game that everybody would know the name of if I were to say it. It's a household term practically. And so we're just in the middle of a campaign for that particular game title right now as we speak. That's led to one of the third larger major game companies coming to us with proposals. So now the games industry, we're starting to see what happened for us on the movie side. On the movie side as well in the U.S., keep in mind all those studios now own, Disney Films owns Disney Plus, Warner Brothers has HBO Max, Paramount has Paramount Plus, et cetera. So that's funneling down into all these streaming services. They're different groups inside the studios, but it's obviously a lot easier if you're doing a big movie for, Paramount. It's easier to get an entree into the people that are running Paramount Plus. So that's starting to happen. One of the big things for this year was get into new vertical categories. I've spoken about that. We just did a big campaign for a major automotive company that everybody would also be familiar with. And so that's, that trend is driving us to, again, I'm not going to say the number, but I'll say the month of May for us was the largest month we've ever had in the history of the influencer marketing business in the US side. So it's our biggest month ever. And this will definitely 100% be our biggest quarter ever for the US influencer marketing business in terms of revenue. Basically, all of what I've just said kind of holds true with Chatterbox. Chatterbox is continuing to grow extremely rapidly on a quarter-over-quarter and year-over-year basis. They keep breaking their own records. We've added more people there. We have more advertisers. We have more annual campaigns that are being done with these advertisers that aren't just one-offs. And a couple of the other things that we're doing in the social media space and the influencer representation space are all growing as well. So the bottom line is that the influencer marketing business is flourishing for us. And in particular with Chatterbox, that feeds directly into our TV and channels business there. So not both in terms of content and show content that we could be creating, in terms of advertiser campaigns that we're doing that are integrated, that we talked last year about BharatBox and the integration of those two things. And then finally, I've hinted and spoken many times about social commerce. We haven't been able to get the exact model that we've wanted yet, but no one should think that we're not going to be entering that game soon because we're working on it as we speak. So that all gets fed out of the Chatterbox influencer marketing business in India.
Been an incredible update so far.
There's a lot of information.
I don't even think I need to ask a question. There was another sub question of Chatterbox is like, is Kurt happy with the acquisition so far?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Yes. It's funny you asked that question. I literally got off a phone call an hour ago where I said in the second half of the year I need to find another Chatterbox for us. It's been a home run, not just in terms of the revenue, not just in terms of the synergies of the company, but the people. I mean, they're just part of what you acquire when you acquire a business is the human capital associated with it. And the Chatterbox people from top to bottom are amazing, and they're young and they're smart and they're hungry.
Amazing. Well, love it. Look, those are the biggest questions I had. Again, congratulations on what feels like we're about to have a huge quarter. So fantastic. Anything else update wise you wanted to talk about? I mean, despite the market seems like the Q is absolutely crushing. Anything you want to add on?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've said this the last couple of times we've spoken. This has been, we're just, we feel we're massively undervalued. I mean, basically our Canadian market cap is, plus or minus 2 times revenue of what we're expecting in calendar 2022, which is crazy. I mean, it's ridiculous when you're having this kind of growth across your business to be trading at 2 times revenue in the categories, the macro environments of India and social commerce and social video that we're in. It's silly. But it is what it is. That's just the way the market is right now. And I've said before, it's not a reflection of what's going on. One thing I'd like to say to sort of end this is a lot of questions about our AGM, rollbacks, uplistings, et cetera, et cetera. We're always looking to keep all of our options open and all of the opportunities that may present themselves that are there. We have a huge amount of interest from the U.S. market, from banks that want to be involved with us, from individual investors that want to see us become more active in the U.S. market. What I get asked all the time about is the U.S. market and what's happening, there and the uplist and rollbacks, the rest of it. Well, we've got to do a rollback in order to get a stock price that makes sense on NASDAQ. That's just a given. People, I'm always a little bit surprised at people's reaction sometimes to rollbacks because, if you have 100 shares at X and you end up with 10 shares at Y, the value of your equity is still exactly the same. It's just sometimes people have a harder time thinking that something can go from $3 to $6 than it can from 15 cents to 30 cents. I don't happen to believe that. And I do believe that we need institutional investors in our business right now. We need larger companies to come in and follow us. We need better research in the U.S. market, and we need U.S. investment capital. So we do plan on going after that. The timing is still being discussed, but we're going to do it like we do everything, aggressively and opportunistically, because that's the way we operate. So, when you see things like this, it's because you can't do it with 1 week's notice. You have to plan ahead and then be ready when you believe the time is right.
Oh, got it. Well, appreciate you touching on that. Yeah, I see a lot of those questions. I just figured couldn't ask you, but I appreciate you addressing them. So thanks so much. Look, I always want to invite people with questions. I'm sure we're due for a Q&A here soon. So
yeah,
up and below, we'll definitely do a little summer Q&A. But Kurt, as always, thanks so much for joining.
Yeah, my pleasure, Jason. Good to see you.